There we go.
You may have to get that closer to the microphone.
There you go.
Well, I'd say it's time to start the show, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
I
baby.
would think so, yes.
That
A
was a
little
little
eruption, call it a day.
from Van Halen. Eddie, safe home, brother. Thanks for
Yeah.
the music. That was that was a great way to start that. That was Rick's idea. Excellent job. And Godspeed to Eddie Van Halen. And wow, what a guitar player. What a guitar player. And soundtrack of our youths, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. All righty. Well, hey, gang. Welcome to Takeo After Dark, the fall edition. This is part 2. We're going to talk about heat emitters tonight. So hopefully get yourself strapped in and make sure you have an adult beverage of the finest kind. And we're going to have ourselves a good time. Make sure, again, guys, you have a notepad too. Pad and pen. Always a great thing to do. Keep a little notebook of the entire program. All right. That way, from start to finish for all 10 episodes, and that way you'll have that for you. You'll have that forever, something you can refer to. Yeah, you're gonna get recordings of this, but don't rely on that. Take some notes and learn and take control of this thing. That'll be the best thing for you. Now, tonight's theme, we've got a little bit of a disparate theme here in terms of t-shirts, but since I'm running the con here, it's going to be my show. And I don't know if you can read my t-shirt. It says, it's a line from one of my favorite TV shows and one of my favorite lines from one of my favorite TV shows. Frank Burns eats worms. So tonight's theme is MASH, the TV show. And to meet your crew, I'm going to play the role of Henry before the airplane accident, and then both Dave and Rick are going to take the role of Hawkeye and Trapper. We thought about some other roles, but I think this one works out to be the best, all right? Because both have played the role of Radar at one point or another. So
One thing though, John.
Say what?
I noticed that Trapper has, what does he have in his hand?
He has a glass.
He's got a Caucasian. He's got he's having a Caucasian.
There you go. That's right.
It goes with another theme that we had earlier.
Which was?
Come on. Who was drinking Caucasians?
Who's? Oh, man. Lebowski. Thank you.
Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski. Yes,
Yeah.
we may have to dust that one off before too long. So anyway, let's get this show rolling here, folks. And I just want to, again, if you're new to the webinar, if this is your first time, I want to make sure we can all communicate. So some of you guys have heard me already. But if this is your first time, I want to make sure we all understand the process here. On your control panel, you should see that little orange arrow. And if the arrow is pointing to the left, I want you to click on that. And that's going to just expand the control panel and you'll be able to see what's going on. All right, once you expand that control panel, all right, you're going to see the audio section to make sure you can hear us. All right, make sure you select your microphones or your speakers and everything. Make sure that's correct. There's going to be some handouts to download in the handout section. Make sure you download those as well. And then the question and chat section down there. So that's going to be to us. so Rick, Dave, and I can answer your questions. So I want to make sure everybody can do that. Again, let's just type in a hi, hello, how are you into the chat section. There you go. All right, very good. Everybody's got that. Outstanding, outstanding. Hello, Jason. How you doing? Shaylee, terrific. Larissa, Pedro, Joe. Good. All these names are coming up. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thanks, guys, for being with us. And girls,
Wow.
we're really looking forward to this night tonight.
That's one of the best ones we've had so far, of everybody responding and saying good morning.
Yeah,
good
I
afternoon,
love
good
it.
evening
I
and
love
stuff.
it.
Wow.
Thank you. That's outstanding.
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm, right? And well, again, here's how you where you write in your questions, but I think you've all got that part figured out. So again, throughout the program, as anything pops into your head for a question regarding the material, just type it in, and we'll stop every few slides and kind of go over that. I don't want to tell you wait till the end of the program to ask your questions. That's ridiculous. Type them in when you think of them, and we'll work through them as we go along. Also, like to issue a warm welcome and a big thank you to our co-sponsors over at Mechanical Hub. We have John Messenbrink and Tim Ward on the line. So how you doing, guys? What's new with you all?
We're doing great. Just living the dream.
Just living the dream. There you go. And you're back you missed us last week for your anniversary, which I think was a wise choice on your part, John.
Yeah, I think I told you if I missed my anniversary for Taco After Dark, I'd have divorce papers in my hands.
Right. You wouldn't have to worry about next year's anniversary.
For sure.
So there would be one problem solved.
But thanks again. Season 2, man. This is exciting.
Yeah, this is exciting. This is great. Now, real quick, just let everybody know who maybe are first timers. What's Mechanical Hub all about?
Yeah, Mechanical Hub is an online resource, mechanical-hub.com. You can go there and visit a lot of industry-related news, features, products, things like that. We have our social media channels on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, Twitter, all that jazz. So we try to keep the contractor up to date with things going on in the industry. So yeah, thanks, John.
Oh, awesome! You guys do an awesome job with that as well. So we're psyched to be working with you again on this. This has just been a fun way to spend 2020 in quarantine. All righty, so let's get this show started, shall we? Maybe Ani should be radar since he's not here, right?
Yeah.
We could make Ani radar.
Yeah,
There you
where
go.
is he?
Yeah, I think Ani should be radar. So there you go. So that's what we'll call him from now on. He won't know what the heck we're talking about. Anyway, we left off last week in part one. In part one, we walked you through heat loss, how to calculate the BTU load for the house. Had some great questions from y'all, and we went through this program step by step on how to calculate the heat loss. And for our purposes, we did a room last week. We came up with infiltration, window heat loss, which was conduction. Infiltration was air leakage, and we showed you how to calculate that. Windows and everything else was conduction. Now, this one particular room was first floor with a heated second floor above. We didn't have to do a ceiling loss, and it was over an enclosed basement, so we didn't have to do a floor loss. So the only loads we had were it was infiltration, windows, and then the outside walls. So we added those up, and our heat load for the room we were doing was 4,022 BTUs. All right, the rest of the house was a big house. We're presuming this was a major shack, okay, 78,379 for a total load of 82,401 BTUs. So that's when we size our boiler. That's what we're going to be looking at. And when we size our heat emitter for the room, we're going to be looking at this number. So what we're going to get into right now is heat emitters. We're going to talk about some of the ins and outs of different heat emitters, maybe looking a little bit behind the curtain, because everybody looks at FinTube, right? Now, let me ask you this: what number do you use for output for FinTube? Type in something for me, would you? What number do you use is your default output for FinTube baseboard? When you're putting it in, everybody's got their favorite number, and it's right around 500. 500, 510, 550, 550, whatever it is you're using. And what supply water temperature are we talking about? Now let's put that in. What supply water temperature do you base that upon? All right. We're basing it on upon a 180-degree supply water temperature. Okay, very good, with a 20-degree delta T. That's Justin, excellent.
Yeah.
Now let's take a gander here at a sheet. This is just a ratings guide, a ratings table for fin tube baseboard. And this actually is Sterling Petite 7, just because it's what I picked. But there's a lot of information here that just to make sure you know what you're talking about. So these are the IBR ratings for forced circulation, all right? And it's all based on a 65-degree entering air temperature. It's based upon the temperature that washes across the floor and enters the bottom of the fin tube being 65 degrees. And this is BTU per linear foot of active length at average water temperature. This is the important thing we're talking about, at average water temperature, okay? Now Justin said basing on 180-degree supply water temperature with a 20-degree delta T. Now let's think about that. 180-degree supply water temperature at a 20-degree delta T is 170-degree average water temperature. It's 170 average water temperature. So when you look at your chart, all right, a lot of folks will default to 180, but that would be a mistake. And most manufacturers do this. It's all based on average water temperature. So you know, if you were to look at 180, you'd say, hey, this is some honking good baseboard at 3/4 inch element. All right, that's the 3/4 inch element. This is some honking good baseboard. It gives me 600 BTUs per foot. That's more than 500. That's more than 510. That's more than 550. That's 600 BTUs. This is really good baseboard. But you have to look at the 170 average water temperature output. And there you're back to 540 or 510. Here's part 2 of the whole let's look at this chart, output chart thing, to make sure we understand what we're talking about. I have 2 different flow rate outputs, one at 4 gallons per minute and one at 1 gallon per minute. Now, which one should you use? Well, that's kind of interesting. Which one should we use? Well, again, all kinds of information can be found in the notes section down bottom. Number 6 under the note says, the IBR ratings at 4 gallons per minute should not be used unless the flow rate is known to be equal to or greater than 4 gallons a minute. Well, we don't know what the flow rate is yet, now do we? Where the flow rate is unknown, the IBR rating at 1 gallon per minute should be used. So what we're looking at here, if you just kind of given this a cursory look, you think, hey, 180, 600 BTUs of what? That's awesome. But you really should be looking at 170 and 510. Is that a big difference? Well, that's almost a 20% difference in output. All right, that's almost a 20% difference in output. So you want to make sure you're paying attention to what you're using here. And here's another thing too. Notice they also give you the output for half-inch element. Now, you would think, wouldn't you, that the output for half-inch element would be less than the output for 3/4 inch element? You'd think, well, it's half-inch, it's not going to give off as much heat. But if you take a look, it actually gives off more BTUs per foot. For Petite 7, the half-inch element actually gives off more BTUs per foot than the 3/4 inch element. Why do you think that is? Let me hear what you guys think. Why do you think that is? Why would half-inch element give off more BTUs per foot than 3/4? On the face of it, that makes no sense whatsoever. Now we got little thing. We got more pressure. We got turbulence. We got quicker. Interesting. Slow flow. Let's see.
Lots of answers.
A lot of good answers. Turbulent flow. I think some of you guys have it. So some of you guys have it. The answer again can be found in the notes. All right, the answer can be found in the notes, and in this case, it's notes 3 and 4. Note 3 tells us the heating element P7E is 3/4 inch nominal diameter copper tubing with unpainted aluminum fins, 2 by 2.5 by 0.01. That's 51.8 fins per foot. I don't know about you, but I never saw that 1/8 of a fin in there, but I'm not calling them liars. The heating element, number 4 says the heating element for P5E is 1/2 inch nominal copper tubing, which we knew, unpainted aluminum fins, but dig this, 2 1/8 by 2 1/8 by 0.008, 55.5 to 57.1 fins per foot. So not only are the fins maybe a little bit bigger, but there's more of them per foot. All right, there's more of them per foot, and that's what determines the output of the baseboard. What the pipe size limits is how long of a zone or how many BTUs you can have on a zone. Typically with 1/2-inch fin tube baseboard and 1/2-inch pipe between the two, our maximum zone is going to be about 17 to 20,000 BTUs, all right? With 3/4 inch, we can go up to 40,000 BTUs on a single zone, all right? So there may be instances when maybe all you need is 18,000 BTUs on a zone, and you could use 1/2-inch element. The thing is, try to find it. Nobody makes it, right? It's just not out there. Or they make it, nobody stocks it. So just so you understand what it is you're looking at and why, all right? Now, another interesting note about fin tube baseboard is the output is not fixed, right? We always look at 180 and we say, well, we got to run 180 to baseboard, right? We got to run 180 to baseboard. Well, no, you don't. With Sterling Petite 7, it's actually rated down to 150-degree average water temperature, which would be 160 out and 140 back. And obviously, when the lower the water temperature, the lower the output of the piece of radiation. That's true of any radiator you're going to find. Panel radiators, cast iron radiators, radiant floor heating. That's universal, right? That's kind of universal. Now, I've seen people say when they were doing a boiler replacement, they say, well, they had fin tube baseboard. I'm not even going to bother with a high efficiency modulating condensing boiler because it's baseboard. I got to run it at 180. So why bother, man? It won't do any good. Let's think about that for a minute. We can run baseboard at low water temperatures. Now, this is from SlantFin. SlantFin's smart. SlantFin actually rates their baseboard down to 110-degree average water temperature. Why is that smart? Well, the lower the water temperature, the more baseboard you're going to need. If you're in the business of making baseboard, why not encourage that behavior, right? So it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And you can see if you were to design this system around, let's say, 130-degree average water temperature, 140-degree supply water temperature with a ModCon under design conditions, you'll see you get 240 BTUs per foot. All right, 240 BTUs per foot. Now, if we remember that room that we were doing, 4,022 BTUs, simply divide 4,022 by 240, and there you're going to see we're going to need about 17 feet of fin tube baseboard for that one room. At 180-degree supply, 170-degree average, we're looking at somewhere around 8 or 9 feet of baseboard for that room, depending upon what we're using. So just understand there's a difference. We can run baseboard at low water temperatures if we're building from scratch. What about a retrofit? Well, one of the things we try to encourage people to do is, you should do a heat loss for a boiler replacement rather than read the tag off of the old boiler. If you simply size the boiler to what you're taking out, what two huge assumptions are you making, gang? Let me hear what you think. If I'm sizing the boiler without doing a heat loss and just looking at the tag on the old one, it says 130,000 BTUs out, and I say, well, it's been working for 40 years. Why screw with its success? What two assumptions am I making? Randall, you got the first one, right? You got the first one, that it was done right the first time, right? That's the first assumption that you're making. And you got the second one too. Nothing's changed in the 40 years since that boiler went in. Those are two big assumptions, man, that you just shouldn't probably do. It doesn't take that long to do a boiler, to do a heat loss. And if you do room by room heat loss, I'm sure a lot of you guys, especially if you're in the Northeast, have walked into houses and you've seen the old-fashioned style of baseboard sizing, right? It's a two-step process. Step one is to measure all of the outside wall in a particular room. That's step one. Step two, install that much baseboard, whether the room needs it or not. They're not going to get cold on your watch, right? So we've all seen over-radiated rooms. Well, what would happen if we walked into that house that we just did the heat loss for, and we walked into that room with the 4,022 BTU load, and the original installer lined the two outside walls with baseboard, right? He lined the two outside walls with baseboard. Well, that was 35 feet, man. Remember, we had a 20-foot wall and a 15-foot wall. So here's a room that needs 4,022 BTUs, and I got 35 feet of baseboard to deliver that with. Now we simply work backwards and find out, well, what water temperature do we actually need, right? How many BTUs per foot do I need, and what water temperature do I need to achieve that? So what I would do here is simply back math it. I'd divide 4,022 BTUs by the 35 feet of baseboard installed, and that tells me I need 115 BTUs per foot out of that baseboard. Well, now I can look at my ratings and see, boy, at 110 degree average water temperature, I got that thing snockered, man. I get 140 BTUs. So I could conceivably run this boiler at, to deliver 120 BTUs to my system all winter long, or 110, I'm sorry, to deliver 110 degree water to my baseboard all winter long and be perfectly fine. That thing's going to condense all winter long. And the only way we're going to know how to know that we can do this is to do the math. So let me give me some feedback on that. What do you think of that approach? That's you got to do room by room, right? You got to, and whatever room is the least over radiated, you figure your water temperature based on that room. That's your control room. So if you find that, hey, these other rooms aren't quite as over radiated, so I got to run 130 degree average water temperature, well, then so be it. That's just the way it's going to be. But that's a way to look at it that might give you, if you do the math and all the guys you're competing with don't do the math, this gives you something to sell, something to offer your customer that the other guys aren't. I can offer you a standard, you're not going to freeze to death cast iron boiler here, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. But because we did the math and we did our homework, you do have the option of getting something a heck of a lot better, a heck of a lot more efficient. That's going to take up a lot less room, be a lot more modern. There's all kinds of benefits to it. And here's how much that is. What would you like us to build for you? Which would be the approach to take. All righty, cool. Excellent.
So
Could you lose a job to the cost of material? If you're only going on price, David, yeah. But that's when you got to sell it, right? You got to say, hey, here's what I'm offering you. Always idiot proof yourself. I guess that may not be the right way to put it, but always say, hey, here's your basic. Here's the most basic, you're not going to freeze to death option that we could give you. The lowest price option that you're willing to install and feel good about yourself, right? That's the basic. And then you just offer them an option. Say, here you go. Check it out. What's the benefit? Well, why would I want to buy that? Oh, glad you asked. Let's sit down and talk. And that's how you would go with it.
Plus, that scenario had the baseboard already in there. It wasn't going to cost anybody any more money. They had over installed it in the first place. Based on it says, yeah, but you could lose a job due to the material cost. Where does it say? David said something else up there. Where is it? My point is that your example said the baseboard was already in there. So that price was already paid by somebody else.
Right. Or if you want to design around the lower water temperature and install more baseboard, I think that may be where you're going with that as well. Customer, yeah, it's going to be a more expensive installation. What's the benefit to the installation? People will always buy something more expensive if they know what's in it for them. We do. Everybody here does that every day, right? So again, the same. I think the same logic applies. Here's your basic, not going to freeze to death system. Here you go. And here's good, here's better, here's best, and here's the difference. And here's what's in it for you. Take your pick. Right. I'm happy installing any one of the three. Which one do you want?
Yep. And the other half too, if you are doing that retrofit application where you've got tons of baseboard installed in the house and you're running a lower water temperature. So Carl brought up a great point saying, you got to make sure you tell the homeowners this, that you're running a cooler water temperature through the system, or don't say cooler because that freaks people out. Say less warm. So because if they don't know it, they're going to think the system's not working. So perfect example, I did this to my in-laws house. So we took out the old cast iron boiler. I put in the condensing boiler. We put in the variable speed circulators in there, and off we went. Did the work in the summer, so that was fine. But then what ended up happening was that first cold snap, I happened to call over there, talk to the in-laws and say, oh, by the way, how's the heating system doing? Oh, yeah, I don't think it's working. I'm like, I'm 5 hours away and I'm going to be away for like the next 3 days. And I'm like, oh my God, what? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Mom, what's the temperature in the space? She says it's 69 degrees. I said, okay, what do you have the thermostat set for? And she goes, 69. Those of you here, if you do the math, that's working.
Yeah, we're
To
heating.
her, she was used to that 180 degrees banging on off circulator, the baseboard pinging along. She didn't think it was working. So
Right.
it's a conversation we need to make sure you have with them,
And
you know, that you
and
are
then you'll have
changing.
it again once it starts up again. So you're not, the pre-job conversation will always require a post-job conversation as well. I think the word you were looking for water temperature, Dave, optimized. We've optimized the water temperature for your needs
There you go.
to maximize the efficiency and operation of this system. It all depends on how you word it. Yeah. Very good. Good guy. I love the interaction. You guys are doing awesome out there. Thank you so much. I love the questions and love the interaction. Good job out there, folks. I'm glad this is working for you. All righty. Let's move on to column and tube radiators. All right, column and tube radiators. And again, I just want to emphasize one more thing. Always give them good, better, best. You know, labor, all that other stuff. Are you trying to do the cheapest possible job you can, or the best possible job you can? And what does your customer want? Always give them a choice. Always give them that good, better, best choice. You'd be amazed when it's for them how more often they're going to say, okay, why would I want the better one? Or they may actually focus on the middle one and say, well, why would I want the best one? And they might even consider the one on the low end. You just got to give them the opportunity and show them the benefits and the drawbacks. And the only drawback is money, basically. And then you can work at it from there. One of the things I want to just give you guys a heads up, our Takeo Tuesday fourth quarter schedule is out. And you can, it will be out. It might be I think it's on the website already. But you can sign up for our Takeo Tuesday webinars. They're at noon on every other Tuesday in October through November through October, November, December. But the first one, I think it's going to be on October 13th, is on how to estimate fuel consumption, which kind of plays into this a little bit. So you can kind of demonstrate some advantages and some differences. So just something to put on your calendar. I think you might find it interesting.
And it is listed. We do have the current schedule up there.
Excellent. So you can go ahead and sign up for that. Excellent. Now let's talk about column radiators and tube radiators. Your cast iron radiators. These have always been kind of a mystery. I got a lot of this information out of the Burnham Heating Helper Guide. That's a great little handbook that has all different kinds of formulas and radiators and heat loss calcs and everything in it. It's a terrific guide, as well as from some of Dan Holohan's books, where they show you how to find the water temperatures that you're looking for and the output at different water temperatures for radiators. When you're talking about cast iron radiators, and what you want to find is the potential output. How many BTUs could I possibly get out of this thing? How many BTUs could I possibly get out of this thing? So to do that, we're looking for the height of the radiator, as well as the number of individual tubes or individual columns. So we want to find the height, as well as the number of tubes or columns, if it's a tube or a column type radiator, and then how many sections, how many individual sections do we have? So we can figure out what's called EDR, or equivalent direct radiation. All right. Now, equivalent direct radiation is basically 170 BTUs per square foot of area. A radiator, cast iron radiator at a specific water temperature will give off 170 BTUs per square foot of cast iron area. So we have to figure out a way to figure out the area. All right. Well, here's how we do it. Let's do an example. We've got a tube type radiator. All right. There's 5 tubes, like the example we have right here. There's 5 tubes, and the sections, each section is 26 inches high, and we have 7 sections. So there's 7 sections. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sections. 5 tubes, 26 inches high, 7 sections. That's the information we need. Now we have to do a little math. Now here's a chart, and again, this comes from the Burnham Heating Helper. And the manufacturers will have something similar, but that's where I got this. We look at our chart and we find the number of tubes or columns over on the left-hand side. And then we find the height, and you'll see the 26-inch height is by far the most common, all right? By far the most common. So we find our row and our column. We find 5 tubes, 26 inches, follow those two to where they intersect, and what we find is each section of radiator has 3.5 square feet of EDR. So each individual section is equal to 3.5 square feet of EDR. Now, I've got 7 sections, right? So I'm going to multiply 3.5 square feet per section times 7 sections. That gives me 24.5 square feet of equivalent direct radiation for that particular radiator. Now at 170 BTUs per square foot, that tells me that radiator is capable of giving off 4,165 BTUs. If that radiator was in our room, we're good. If that radiator was in our room, we've got enough BTUs to heat that room. All right. So now we got to look at different water temperatures. At what water temperature do we get that 170 BTUs? Well, in this case, it's 180 degree, whoops, excuse me. It's 180 degree average water temperature. So 190 going out, 170 coming back. Now that's our output at 180 average water temperature. All right. Now steam, we're way the heck up here, 240 BTU per square foot of radiation, but at steam, we're at 212, you know, minimum, right? So that's kind of fixed. The output of a steam radiator is fixed. But if we're doing hot water through a radiator, it's going to vary again based on the water temperature. So I got to look at it this way. If I'm looking at 180 supply, 160 return, 170 average, now I'm at about 150 BTUs per hour per square foot of radiation. All of a sudden that radiator might be a skosh undersized. And then I can look at different water temperatures to see what kind of output I might have under different conditions. All right. If I had radiators and if I'm redoing a big old house and it's got all these existing radiators, I do the heat loss, I find the potential of the radiator, what could I do for a boiler in here to make sure I get the peak efficiency, I optimize, good use of that word, optimize my water temperature to maximize the overall system economy of operation. And maybe I find that the best water temperature for me to run under design conditions is going to be an average of 140. So it's 150 going out, 130 coming back. That's what I have. I work off of outdoor reset, bada bing, bada boom, we're in good shape. Let me know if that makes some sense to you guys. Any questions on that? Because I think that again, you're going to run into these things out there. You are definitely going to run into these things out there, and you'll see that you know you need this kind of this information to be able to figure out what am I going to do with this radiator? How do I make this thing work? All right. So good. So we got a couple good things. A couple good questions. Very good. Very good. All right, Mr. Carboni at Morris County Vocational School in New Jersey. If you can give him a shout out, I know he's watching and he said he stole my lessons. Okay, thank you, Joe. One thing about instructors, all of us, Rick, Dave, do any of us have original thoughts?
They're always morphed from lots of things. We're like a cook in a kitchen. We use lots of stuff for the recipe.
Lots of ingredients, right? It's the old saying, there's a difference between plagiarism and research. If you copy from one person, it's plagiarism. If you copy from a bunch of people, it's research, and that's legal. And that's the story of my life, and I'm sticking to it. All righty.
And if you copy it from Baguette, then you just own it anyway. So who you stole it from.
There you go. There you go. All righty. It's trivia question time. Now, again, we at the end of this class, we're gonna pick the winner for the next trivia question. All right. And what the way this works is you type in your answer to the trivia question, and you will have until the end of our class, till we give you the answer tonight, to get the right answer in. So then we'll put all the people who picked the right answer in, and we'll select that winner next week. So the take-home trivia question of the night, all right, is Alan Alda And Wayne Rogers and McLean Stevenson played Hawkeye, Trapper, and Henry in the TV series. All right. Y'all remember the MASH started as a movie in 1970, directed by Robert Altman. Fantastic movie. But there was one actor, only one actor appeared in both the TV and the movie in 1970 and the TV show when it debuted in 1971. It's only one actor. So who was the actor who appeared in both? And just type in your answer into the question section, and we'll go through all of the right answers. And you got to have the character and the actor name right, and then we'll pick a winner next week. Very good, very good. So you got to have character, actor, both. Stickler, right? Okay, then. Let's get back to work, shall we?
Mr. T.
Wasn't
Mr.
MASH
T
a
was the
great
character,
show?
right? Was it
Say
Mr.
what?
T? Was it Mr. T?
No, it wasn't Mr. T. Mr. T was not in MASH. Either one. Chuckle. Yeah. Now I know how Henry felt. It was a great show, wasn't it? MASH was just a fantastic show. Actually, I follow this Twitter account called Classic MASH, and they always post every day. They post 3 or 4 little 2-minute clips from the show, from all different eras, and it was fantastic. It just brings back a lot of memories, and it just a few nice chuckles. And again, as the show progressed, and in later years, it was less comedy and a little more serious, and you had to deal with that. But yeah. Alrighty, let's get back to work. Let's talk about radiant floor heating, shall we? Everybody's favorite topic. Let's talk about radiant floor heating and sizing and figuring that. Let me do this for you. Let me ask you this question. What is the best way to install radiant floor heating? What is the best way to install radiant floor heating?
And you mean floor construction method, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you just meant like the floor.
In the floor, right? Carl Carboni, he's a wise guy, like, you got to put it in the floor. What's the best installation method for radiant floor heating? What's the best installation method? Is it slab? Is it thin slab? Is it BT? Is it between the joists? Is it underlayment? What? Yeah, you guys are funny. Very carefully. Thank you, Richard. Roger. Whichever way is the best for the space. Horizontal. Insulation with slab is the easiest. I didn't say easiest. I said, what's the best? What's the best method? What's the best method? We still got a lot of MASH questions coming in here.
Some of them look like they're
nobody's paying attention. Everybody's Googling. You're all out there Googling.
Yes.
I know you're Googling.
They're
all right,
cutting
you're not
and
watching.
pasting
You're
in
Googling.
there. Yeah.
All right, let's take a look. To me, the best method to install radiant floor heating is the one that makes the most sense for the job you're looking at today. Some people may love putting it in a concrete slab because it's easy, and it's really hard to screw that up, man. It's hard. You get so much leeway and so much forgiveness. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Concrete has mass, and mass is good. Mass is neither good nor bad. Math is. There's good things about mass, and there's bad things about mass. Put it in a little 1.5 inch concrete overpour. Well, that's nice, but if the house isn't framed for it, ain't gonna happen, people. All right, ain't gonna happen. Maybe the only option you have is going between the floor joists with aluminum plates, right? That might be your only option. Or maybe the only thing you can do is to put down a little aluminum and plywood or whatever underlayment on top of the subfloor, and then put your finished floor on top of that. That might be your best method. Radiant wall or radiant ceiling might be the best option for this particular job. So you really gotta look at it from the standpoint, from a more Zen-like standpoint. Let the job come to you, right? See the job, be the job. Let the job come to you. What you're looking at is what's the best installation method for this job. Tomorrow's answer might be a different one. So when we're sizing radiant floor, what we're looking for is output from the floor. The radiator is the floor, right? And the floor is the radiator. So we're concerned about how many BTUs can I get out of the floor, right? How many BTUs can I get out of the floor? Now, actually, let me rephrase that. It's not how many BTUs can I get out of the floor. It's how many BTUs do I need to get out of the floor? And we break it down into square foot. We don't particularly care how many BTUs per linear foot we get out of the pipe. you know, whether it's PEX or whatever, that doesn't make any difference. It's immaterial. It's kind of like taking that baseboard element out of a piece of baseboard, scraping off all the fins and asking how many BTUs do I get out of that pipe? Nobody cares, because you get BTUs out of the heat emitter. The pipe is not the heat emitter in radiant floor. The floor is the heat emitter in radiant floor. I know that sounds obvious, but it requires some explanation. So we know the BTU load of our room. The BTU load of our room was 4,022 BTUs. We know it was 20 by 15. It was 20 foot by 15 foot, or 300 square feet. So to find my BTU per square foot load, I simply divide 4,022 by 300, and that gives me an output, a required output of 13.4 BTUs. We'll call it 14, good enough, right? We'll call it 14. Now that's presuming the entire 300 square foot floor area is available to us for radiant floor. Kitchens are going to be a little bit interesting. Bathrooms are going to be a little bit interesting because you got cabinets and stuff, right? Even if you put tubing under the cabinets in a kitchen, you really can't count that as effective radiant floor area. So however many square feet the cabinets, you know, take up, you have to subtract that from the overall square foot of the kitchen and use your net square foot area, your effective floor area. So you'd have to do that in kitchens and bathrooms probably as well. You can put tubing under the vanity, you can put tubing under the tub and shower. If it's a shower enclosure, you can go crazy with tubing in there, and that falls under the realm of, oh, that's cool. That feels nice. It's not and it helps, but it doesn't count in the terms of effective radiant floor space. So you still got to take that out. All right, very good. So if that makes sense to you, now let's continue. I know my target now. I've identified the target, 13.4 BTUs. I have 14 BTUs per square foot. We've identified the target. Now we got to figure out how we're going to get there. And we have to decide on our installation method, which way are we going to stick it in? Is it a concrete slab? Is it a gypsum concrete overpour between the floor joists, some kind of underlayment? How are we making this happen? All right. So we got to figure out our installation method, and we have to determine the finished floor R value as best we can. All right. Now here's a pop quiz for you. And those of you who've been with us before, you know this. You may know the answer, but I'm going to ask it again anyway. Which finished floor material requires the higher surface temperature to heat the room, carpet or tile? Which finished floor material requires a higher surface temperature to heat the room, carpet or tile? We'll get some interesting ones. We got tile. We got a couple of tiles, mostly carpets.
Shag, baby, shag.
Shag, right. There you go. That might have to be our next, maybe Austin Powers should be our next, our next theme. Which finished floor material requires a higher surface temperature to heat the room? Let's think about this. Your floor is a radiator, right? Your floor is a radiator. And I will tell you this. Radiant floor heating gives off heat based exclusively on its surface temperature. Radiant floor heating gives off heat based exclusively on its surface temperature. All right, with its surface temperature. It's a trick question. You got that, Jonathan. It's a trick question. It's the same. Doesn't make any difference, right? A 75-degree floor surface temperature, 75-degree carpet surface temperature and a 75-degree tile surface temperature are both 75 degrees, right? They're both 75 degrees. So it's the same. The water temperature, or what I have to do to achieve that surface temperature is going to be different because carpet tends to be more of an insulator. So yeah, it was kind of a trick question, but I want to get you to think about things. Radiance, it's simple, it's straightforward, but you got to think a little bit. So we have our target of 13.4 BTUs. The first thing we want to do is what surface temperature do we need to deliver 13.4 BTUs? And then we work from there. All right, we work from there. Now here's an output chart. This is from Mr. PEX, but every radiant company has something similar. This is an output chart for a specific installation method. This is BTJ, or between the joists, with aluminum heat emission plates. These C-fin transfer plates below the floor with the tubing 8 inches on center. Now over here, on the left-hand side, over here on the left-hand side, we have BTU per square foot load. So I'm going to put us right about here, a little bit more than 13 BTUs per square foot. Way over here on the right-hand side is the required surface temperature. So if I were to run all the way across here to find my required surface temperature, it looks like it's going to need to be about 75 degrees. So under design conditions, the quote unquote coldest day of the year, I need that floor in that room to be 75 degrees in order to heat the room adequately, in order to deliver the 4,022 BTUs. All right. Now it's just a matter of what I got to do to get there. What's my finished floor R value? Well, let's presume in this room there's a carpet and pad, a normal everyday carpet and pad with an R value of 2.0. To find the water temperature we need to get there, I'll follow my BTU per square foot load until I reach the R value line, this line right here, the R value line for 2.0. And then where the two meet, I'll drop straight down. And this is telling me I'm going to need maybe about 122 degree water for that room, 122 degree water. If I had hardwood, if that was a hardwood floor in there and not a carpet and pad, I would look here at the R 1.0. That's for a lot of different kinds of hardwood. And I'd find that maybe I only need about 118 degree water there. If it was tile, I'm sorry, 108 degree water there. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick. What am I signing radar? I don't know. our value of 0.5, we're down about 147 or 102, whichever you prefer. Does that all make sense to you? Let me know if that makes sense to you. And I'm going to have another pop quiz for you. We know in order to deliver my 13.4 BTUs per square foot, I need a 75 degree floor surface temperature, right? Well, when is my load 13.4 BTUs per square foot? It's under design condition, right? That quote unquote coldest day of the year, 0 degrees. Let's say it's not 0 degrees outside at a given point in time. Let's say it's 35 degrees outside. Now my heat load per square foot is not 13.4, it's down around 6 point something 7, down around here. I only need a 72 degree floor surface temperature. The question, my friends, is how does the floor know? How does the floor know to be 72 degrees when it's 35 degrees outside and 75 degrees when it's 0 degrees outside? How does the floor know? Good question, eh? Let's see what we have here. Bum, 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 bum. Slab sensor and outdoor sensor control, says Nathan. We haven't put any in yet. We haven't determined what we're going to do for a water temperature control, and if we're doing reset or whatnot. I'll submit to you, we're not going to put in either one. We're not going to put in either one. We're not going to put in outdoor reset. We're not putting in a floor sensor or anything like that. How does the floor know to be 72 when it's 35 out and 75 when it's 0 out? Yeah, you guys are getting it. You guys are getting it. It's the thermostat. It's the thermostat, right? It's the thermostat. What happens when there's enough? You got a thermostat in a room, right? What happens when there's enough heat in that room to satisfy the thermostat? Hawkeye, Trapper, what happens when that happens?
It opened up.
Yeah, when there's enough heat,
It opens up.
Yeah, no, when there's enough heat, the thermostat, yeah, the switch opens up.
Yeah.
Flow stops, right? The floor ain't gonna get any warmer. That's it. We're done. The floor isn't gonna get any warmer. Odd. It's like you're thinking, if only there was something we could put on the wall that would control the temperature in a room. By golly, it's a thermostat. The lesson here is with radiant floor heating, and this is going to come into play. This is going to be very important in later sessions. with radiant floor heating, zoning is of critical importance because of what we're talking about right here. Let's say I had this room with carpet and pad, and another room adjacent to it with tile. And because I wanted to keep the price down, I decided to put them on the same zone. The question is, where do I put the thermostat? Good question, eh? What do you guys think? Where would you put the thermostat? Would you put it in the tiled room or the carpeted room? Let me hear what you got to say. Came out of the still just a little while ago. We got carpeted room, we got tiled room. I'll tell you this, no matter which one you choose, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. No matter which one you choose, you're wrong.
Can't
Let's
win
say
or
I
lose.
put the thermostat in the carpeted room. How's the carpeted room going to feel? Carpeted room's going to feel fine. It's going to feel perfect. It's going to be great. How's the top and the zone's going to run until that thermostat in the carpeted room is happy. Tiled room's going to feel what?
Smoking.
It's going to be hot, right? Tiled room's going to be overheating, right? Oh, maybe I made a mistake. Let's go. Let's move the thermostat from the carpeted room. Let's go put it in the tiled room and make sure that that's okay. Well, now I've got the thermostat in the tiled room. The tiled room's going to feel fine. How's the carpeted room going to feel? Colder. That's right. The carpeted room's going to feel colder. There's no way around that. You're kind of stuck. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Either way you go, you're wrong, right? So
Always
what
put
you
it in the
have to-
tiled room.
Say what?
Always put it in the tiled room. Because the
Why?
tiled room is probably that one room where you're wet and naked at the same time.
You had to wait till I had a mouthful there, didn't you? Okay, how about a tiled room that's not a bathroom? Okay, let's.
Okay. And you have to ask your homeowners that too. I mean, maybe it's not just a bathroom that you're wet and naked in at the same time. So you have to
There's
design
a little
around
more
their
than- Maybe that's
requests.
more than we need to know. But zone them separately. You won't be wrong at that point. You won't be wrong. All right, zone them separately. And that way they're both fine. I've had a lot of folks say, you know, Sean says I could be wet and naked in the kitchen. Okay, thank you for sharing, Sean. If Sean invites us over for a bite, let's just not go.
I'm staying on the porch. Serve me out here. Yes.
The porch. Yeah, there you go. I've had a lot of guys say to me, wait a minute. No. What you do is you tweak the flow on them little loopy things so we balance it out that way, and that way you only have to use one thermostat and it's cheaper that way. Good luck. That's all I got to say. Good luck. If you really know, I mean, the three of us sold these manifolds for years. They call them balancing valves, and they even have little gauges with GPMs on them, you know, and it's like, okay, 0.5, 1 point, okay, good luck. You know, how accurate are those? What those things do, they're not really what you call, they're not circuit setters per se. Their job really, what they really do, what those balancing valves really do is they simply trick the water into thinking all the loops are the same length. That's all they do. You want them set up so that when every loop or every zone on that manifold is calling, you're not starving one. You're getting flow through all of them, okay? So you want to trick the water into thinking there's no easy way home, and you trick the water into thinking all the loops are the same length. If you say, well, I'm just going to tweak that one down a little bit, and that way it'll balance out. Here's what happens. When you tweak one loop on that perfectly balanced manifold, you screw up the flow in every other loop on that manifold. It's dynamic balancing. You cannot adjust one without affecting the flow through all of the others. And the more you try to tweak it, it's like Curly from the Three Stooges. Remember when he started pulling a thread off of his suit coat, and he's pulling, and then all of a sudden all of his clothes fall off? You know, that's kind of what it's like. So that fallacy of trying to, you know, balance the flow sounds good, but it's virtually impossible to really pull off. All right. So that's kind of, in this case, a well-designed, conceived radiant floor heating system has a lot of zones. Now the the kind of the process for deciding how you can zone rooms together, it's kind of, you have to check off three boxes. Okay, all three boxes have to be checked off. The first box is that the BTU per square foot loads of the rooms have to be kind of close. They got to be consistent. So here we got 13. If I had a 15 and a 16 BTU per square foot, different rooms, I could put those all on one zone. That's the first box, but the other two also have to be checked off. The second box is that the use pattern of all the rooms is kind of consistent. All right, so it's like a kitchen, breakfast room, family room, all kind of an open concept thing. Different bedrooms, putting all the different bedrooms on one zone. Yeah, what are you doing? It's not common use, man. You know, once we put the thermostat, you know, for the bedrooms, they put the thermostat in the upstairs hallway. What's the most comfortable place in the second floor is right by that thermostat in the upstairs hallway. The bedrooms are a crapshoot, right?
Well,
So,
no. It's the master bedroom is going to be the most comfortable room, no matter
yeah,
what. Because
right.
mom and dad are the only ones allowed to touch the thermostat. So now where do you place it? It's going to make sure the master bedroom is comfortable. It might be out in the hallway, might be in somebody else's room, but hey, mom and dad are the one that's paying the bill. So
Yeah, they're the one that matter. Don't touch my thermostat. Don't
that's
touch my thermostat, right? So, so bedrooms, zone them separately. Master bedroom, master bath, zone those separately because again, for the wet and naked thing, you know, you want to be nice and warm in the bathroom and you might like to turn it down at night when you go to sleep. So zone those separately as well. So those are the first two. The BTU per square foot load has to be consistent. The use pattern has to be consistent. And then the third box you got to check off is that the finished floor R value has to be consistent. They don't have to be the same. They just, you know, they got to be consistent. So tile and hardwood, they're kind of close. If you got hardwood with some area rugs and some light carpet and pad, that could work too. Okay, just you know, you just got to watch what you're doing and watch your surface temperatures, and then you should be fine.
Yep.
All right.
I renovated my place a few years ago and I've got 9 zones. So, and I put an apartment on for my in-laws and I gave them 3 zones. My mother-in-law looks at me like, wait, what? We're moving from half the size house that we had before, which was 1 zone, 2-story colonial, thermostat in the foyer, not a single room was comfortable, to a small apartment with 3 zones. And my mother-in-law looked at me like, why? I said, because I can.
My
And we
daughter
have
married a
wildly
Rockefeller.
different
Look
heat
at
loads.
this.
Yeah, wildly different heat loads in every room. We got tall ceilings in this space. We got a bathroom over here. We got a bedroom over here. So I broke it up into 3 zones and they're all set for the same temperature. So that's the one thing to remember too. They're all set for the exact same temperature because that's the number that makes her happy.
Right.
Right. So, but it was a wild, you know, if we put it in one, the room temperatures would have been all over the place and I would have been trying to tweak everything like mad. So I said, we're just going to go this way.
Mm.
Now,
I
she never
remember.
touched the thermostat. I touched them all because,
Yep.
oh, it's cold in here. Can you make it warmer? Okay. Bump, bump.
Turn it up. There you go.
She gets confused on what to do up and down by the seasons and stuff. So.
I don't know how many old timers, you know, or long time radiant installers are out there. I started installing radiant back in the 80s, late 80s, and they had the thermostats we had were German. They were made by a company called AHRI, and they didn't have any numbers on them. Fantastic thermostat, super accurate. It just had a line with a dot and then an arrow pointing up that was red and an arrow pointing down that was blue. People hated them. People hated them because they couldn't tell if they were comfortable or not. So we would go back and look at jobs and there'd be more of these thermostats with a little thermometer next to it and ask, well, why do you have the thermometer there? And they'd say, well, that's how I know I'm comfortable. If I don't have the thermometer, I don't know if I'm comfortable or not. So I don't know what to, okay. You know, what do you do when you're outside? I mean, you drive by the bank and check? I don't know. How do you know if you're comfortable when you're outside? So I don't know. Well, with iPhones, you can look it up, but still, you know, I mean, it's crazy. So, but that's what do we call it? Psychophysics with heavy emphasis on psycho.
I used to tell people, you know, if you could with your homeowners, the first time that you install the radiant in their house or they move in, put some painter's tape over the digital display. and tell them to hit the up and down arrows on the thermostat. And after a week or so, you'll be surprised at what the temperature is going to be, because we get so fixated on what the number is that it has to be that number. That's the only way I'm comfortable. No, just pay attention to how you feel. It's a weird psychological thing when you start thinking about what the temperature has to be in order to be comfortable in the place, and it's irrelevant. It becomes irrelevant at that point. So I would find most people all of a sudden, hey, well, I feel a lot more comfortable at 68 in my house with radiant compared to 72 with a forced air system. So it's just the way it feels in the house.
Very good. All right, real quick, I want to go over boiler selection. Our total load was 82,401 BTUs. And I want you to take a look at this boiler here that we're looking at. And we see, you see the boiler input here. You got a column for the DOE heating capacity, or the DOE output. And then next to it, you have the net AHRI rating, or again, some of us old timers remember that as the IBR output, the IBR rating. If we take a look at this boiler and this particular load, which boiler do you guys want to choose? Which one would you pick? Yeah, I'm sure there's some wholesalers out there saying, we go for the 309, the big one, get it out of there. I'm kidding. Which one would we pick? I got one vote here for the 304. All right. We got another one vote for the 304. We got a finished basement or an unfinished basement question. Another vote for the 304. Is the boiler in a conditioned space? There you go. 305 from Martin. Where's the boiler going to be located? Are we doing DHW? All good stuff. All good stuff. Okay. The question is going to be, which boiler do we use? And it's going to be, if we choose properly, it's going to be one of those two, right? The 304 or the 305. It's just going to matter which one of these we pay attention to. Which one can we pay attention to, or which one should we pay attention to? The DOE or the net AHRI/IBR. And a lot of you guys were asking about the finished basement. So that's, again, where your head's at. It's a good spot. Let's take a look at the difference between the two real quick. The DOE capacity is a federal output rating. And what the DOE presumes is that the boiler and all of the associated piping is installed in a heated area, and any jacket losses or piping losses you experience offset the calculated BTU load of the living space. So there's little to no wasted heat. So those jacket losses offset the heating load. That's why the DOE numbers are always higher than the IBR/AHRI. The AHRI, or again, the old IBR output, is different. It's always 15% lower. They just cut 15% right off of the top of the DOE. And the magic math that allows them to do that is they presume that the boiler is installed in an unheated, unconditioned space, like an unheated, unconditioned basement. And what they presume is any jacket losses and piping losses, well, yes, they do condition the basement, don't do anything for the area upstairs that we're trying to heat. So they consider them quote unquote wasted. Quote unquote wasted. That's part of that 15%. That's not all that 15%. That's part of that 15%. Another part of that 15% is for something known as the pickup allowance. And then this again is kind of old school. Goes back to when we had big cast iron boilers, cast iron radiators, and black iron pipe, heating them all up. And you had to have a certain amount of BTUs reserved to heat up the delivery system, because you can't deliver heat to a radiator through a cold pipe. You can only do it through a hot pipe, right? Through a warm pipe. So the first run has to heat up the pipe before we can actually heat up the radiator. So it's all part of that. It's all part of that. So which one are we going to choose? Again, it's going to depend on where the boiler's going. The guys that asked that question, Jimmy DePalma, you're a smart guy, Jimmy. Where's that boiler going to go? Is it going to go in a basement, unheated, unconditioned basement? Then I might be looking at the 305. If it's in a conditioned space, then maybe I'm looking at the 304. Okay. So again, it's just going to depend on which one you're looking at. Where's the boiler going, and what kind of system am I hooking it up to as well is going to be kind of another piece of information. All righty, are you guys ready for the trivia question answer? And a lot of you guys I saw had at least half of the answer or part of it, and it was Gary Berghoff as Radar. He played Radar in both the movie and in the television show. Roger Bowen played Henry Blake in the movie. Of course, McLean Stevenson made the part just incredible in the TV show before they put him on a plane and killed him. What a terrible way to write a character off of a show, I'm telling you. But Gary Berghoff as Radar is the correct answer. So we will go through all of the different answers from this week, and then next week we'll select a winner. I guess, Dave, what we should do now is pick the winner for last week, this week. Shall we do that? Are you ready on your end? Hawkeye?
Sorry, muted. Yep, I know. Yeah.
Don't do that because you make me think I lost the internet connection again.
Here we go again.
Should have just froze there for you, huh?
Yeah, there. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Are you about ready?
I am ready. Yes, sir. All set.
All right, I'm going to make you the presenter. There you go, Hawkeye.
Okay, show my screen. Let's see here. Okay. So this is the list of names from last week, and I forget the question from last week. I don't have all my notes here since I'm on the road this week.
Oh, yeah, the real name of the professor, the skipper, and Gilligan.
That's right. That's right.
So, not the actor's name, but the character's real name.
Character names. That's right. So Willie Gilligan here. So all right. So let's click on. Let me get this going, and let's give a click. These are the list of names from last week.
Round and round she goes. Ooh.
Carlton.
Carlton
Yes.
Pember. All right, Carlton.
And
This is
Carlton, I
Carlton,
saw
your
you're here
doorman?
tonight. Yes, so Carlton's online with us again tonight, so I will make sure I send you an email, and I will get a mailing address, and we've got a nice little prize package. I've got a Bluetooth speaker that you can use on the job sites, and a bunch of other, I got a t-shirt. I need to get a shirt size from you. I got a hat, coffee mug, and a whole bunch of other accessories, so to speak, all Takeo branded to send out to you, buddy. So
All
good
right.
job.
All kinds of excellent prizes. Very good.
And I will stop showing.
All right. Let's send that back to me, would you?
You got it.
All right, there I am. Okay, I am the new presenter. Show my screen. Do. What, can you see my screen?
We got you back. The PowerPoint's not running though.
No, let me get that up. All right. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Okay, whoops. That's all at the beginning. I don't want to go through the whole
Yeah, let's do it again. I'm not doing anything.
No,
I'm
it's
in a
not.
hotel room. Okay.
Yeah, you're in a hotel room. You got nothing to do tonight, right?
I got nothing to do tonight.
There you go. All right, here we go. All right, well, next week, and again, for the folks out there, we're going to stay online as long as you want and ask. Now it becomes open. What questions do you have about the stuff we talked about tonight, or really anything you guys want to talk about? And we'll go back through, make sure if there are any questions that we missed during the program. But this is now kind of the open forum section of the show. Next week, we're going to get into some boiler piping and some pipe sizing. We're going to talk about how to figure out the flow rate and how that is important. Figuring out your flow rate really is how you size pipe. It's how you size pumps. It's going to be how you troubleshoot, other than you don't need to. But so it's pretty important. So we're going to show you how to do that, pipe, and how that leads to pipe sizing. And then we're going to start talking about air control. All right, we're talking a little bit about air control, and maybe, I think, if not next week, it'll be the week after. We're going to get into a discussion of what pumping away is all about. What is the point of no pressure change? Where does the circulator go, and why? So that's all going to be part of our discussion next week. And you know, as far as the rest is concerned, we'll see you next week. All right, we'll see you next week. But like as I said, we will be happy to hang out here as long as you guys want to hang out and chat.
Tell Anthony that's why I kept turning my mic off. So
Why did you keep turning your mic off? You look like you're wearing a blanket, Rick. I got to tell you.
it's just a shirt, man.
I
No
know, it
one's
just
ever
looks
done
like,
tie dye.
I know tie-dye. It just looks the way it blends in. It just looks like you're wrapped up in a nice blanket.
I know Anthony didn't like it very much either. He was scolding me when we first started.
Well, it was just surprising to not see you in a Takeo shirt, man. I wasn't sure if you owned a shirt other than something that said Takeo on it.
Well,
I
yeah,
think that shirt looks like a big impeller, actually.
You,
hey, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Slinging
You-
that stuff,
are
slinging
you
and
sure
slapping.
are you sure it's not a Snuggie?
A what?
A Snuggie.
A
A
Snuggie.
Snuggie. I don't know what a Snuggie is.
Oh, it's a blanket with sleeves. Do you guys know how many Snuggies that dude sold? I mean, millions of those things got sold. So much so that it spawned an imitator. Talk about
No.
what a great country. When you can get rich selling a blanket with freaking sleeves. Mazel tov.
What was the imitator?
Oh God, I forget what it was called, but it was an imitation Snuggie.
Yeah, I think.
And
I
he
know
tried
what
to
you mean.
cut the price. It was a cut rate Snuggie.
Right on.
All righty. Pet rocks. Yep, pet rocks. I don't know why Anthony wants to know if you're wearing underwear under that shirt.
I'm not sure why he would want to know that, but
We got a
yeah,
couple
I got a
questions.
sea monkey under that shirt.
Ah, there you go. There you go. Let's see what we have here. Andrew Burns. I appreciate all the info and the gifts, but unfortunately I can't stick around for the rest of the time tonight. Andrew Burns eats worms too. All right, if you're leaving early. Take care, Andrew. Thank you for being with us. Sajid asks about fan coil unit sizing. Is there a separate course on it? Not from us, because it's kind of a little outside of our realm. But we don't offer specific program on fan coil sizing. Do you guys have anything from your backgrounds that
It's
can maybe
similar.
point them in the right direction?
It's similar to baseboard. You find the manufacturer that makes the fan coil, and you just look and say, okay, what is my entering temperature? What delta T am I going to use? And how many BTUs output is it going to need? And you just line up the charts and you buy the coil in the right size. If it's already part of a package, it's going to be a whole air handling unit. If you're just doing coils by themselves, of course, that's what you'll get. But it's real similar to what we did with the baseboard chart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And according Rich McGrath points out,
Still got to do heat loss.
Yep, still got to do your heat loss, but you can go with lower water temperatures, but you just got to look at the specs. So lower water temperature, less output. Maybe you buy a bigger coil if that's what you want to do. Here's Carlton Pember asks, you said the carpet and tile was the same. It's about floor temperature. If they are the same, why does the thermostat not work in either room? Think about that, Carlton. Good question. Really good question. If I have a thermostat in the carpeted room, right? Both zones are going to run until the carpeted room is happy, right? Which is going to heat up faster, the carpeted room or the tiled room? And which requires the hotter water temperature, the carpeted room or the tiled room? I'm running the same water temperature through both rooms, right? That carpeted room is going to run until the carpeted room is satisfied. That tiled room is going to be running long past the time it was satisfied. It's like if you had, it's same thing if you had two rooms and you had fin tube baseboard in each room, and one room had 35 feet and the other room had 3 feet. And you put the thermostat in the room with the 3 feet of baseboard. The other room's going to be kind of warm, don't you think?
And if we stop and think about it for a second, tile floor is going to be a 0.2, 0.3 R value.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're embedding it in the concrete, you do it from below the floor, a little bit higher, obviously, because it'll plywood deck. And then you go throw carpet and pad, you're looking at an R value, resistance to heat transfer of 2.5 minimum. Right. So that's why it's a blanket. That carpet, that pad is going to get real hot under, even if they're both concrete floors, the concrete gets really hot underneath there. It's holding on to that heat underneath there because it has to drive it through the carpeted area. So if
Here's
you've ever walked into a room that's got some radiant floor in there and an area rug, peel it back, feel that floor underneath it. It's cooking, even
Or
though it's
do
air
like-
temperature. Yeah.
do like that one guy said, this comes from Alaska. There was a wholesaler's competitor at the time. He said, just tell the occupants to walk around and squish the heat out of the carpet.
There you go.
If you want more heat, just squish it out of there.
Let me know if that answers your question, Carlton, because that's a good one. That's a really good question. Here's one. How do you prevent overshooting on temperature for radiant floor heating systems, from Mark Fahey? I think really good question. Gentlemen, what do you guys say?
How do
We
you
lost you.
prevent overshooting on?
I'm sorry, muted again. You need a good thermostat. You're going to have something that's got a low differential, is my opinion. A wide differential in your thermostat is one way to have that shooting going back and forth. It's looking for a forced air system. Forced air is doing a fast and furious heat. Radiant floor, slow and gentle. So if you have a tight differential on that thermostat, it doesn't bounce on an awful lot. A lot of times you have a thermostat with a wide differential. You set the thermostat for 70. It may not come back on again until 68, but then it doesn't shut off until 72. You do that to a radiant system, and the radiant all of a sudden blasts all that heat into the floor.
Yeah, all over the place.
Once 72 hits, it says, oh, I still got heat. And then it creeps up to 73, or so. And then it takes a long time, and then comes down to that 68 to kick back on, and the floor is taken, all the heat's gone. The thermostat wakes up and says, oh, crud, go send some heat out there. And the floor temperature continues to drop. So, and the air temperature follows suit. So you get this big flywheel. So a good thermostat's going to help that, as well as water temp control. Don't overshoot the high water temperature. Put it on modulation, like a modulating three-way valve, not a fixed three-way valve.
Rick, how are you? What do you think?
I would lean more toward the temperature control. Just making sure you got the right outdoor reset curve set up, and always send the lowest water temperature that is needed. And that's really what we're shooting for. So that'll tend to, especially on the higher mass applications, like a gypsum or a full slab, 3.5, 4 inches, that will tend to help. But there's nothing we can do about drastic outdoor temperature changes. You're always with a high mass system. We would have these things called Chinooks. Some of you folks know what a Chinook is. It might be minus 30 out, and you're just sending a bunch of heat up into the room to deal with that kind of heat loss, and all of a sudden it's plus 40 within a matter of about an hour, and there's nothing you could do about that. Those people be opening windows. No, we dealt with that stuff up north. So, but temperature control.
I know Dave. He's a big Chinook.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Not to be confused with a Canuck.
A Canuck, yes, that's right. Mark Fahey, let us know if that answered your question, if that was useful. Anthony Tosco, good. Thank you for joining us tonight. What do we have here? Howard Leggett asks, 110-year-old gravity feed with cast iron rads is a ModCon fire tube boiler with outdoor reset and a Delta T circulator the best way to maximize efficiency? What do you guys think? Boy, old gravity systems, man. The minute you put a circulator on it, the whole world changes. Because you're fighting what it was intended to be. It was intended to be a very gentle, continuous circulation system, right? So you've got, now we're turning it into a system that's going to be run by a thermostat, and it's going to be forced circulation. Boy, I've always struggled with this, and I've never come up with an answer that I thought was really acceptable. You probably got to do very gentle, constant circulation. As much as I hate constant circulation, this might be one of those times when you got to do it.
Yeah,
wide
Delta T.
In this case, you could go with a wider Delta T too. It doesn't have to be 20. You could go with a pretty wide Delta T here.
Challenge is going to be those last couple of rooms.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm guessing by your silence, you guys are kind of a little stumped too.
Myself, yeah, I haven't played around, on Long Island. I haven't run into too many gravity systems.
Me either.
Lot of baseboard on Long Island. So up in your neck of the woods, a lot of those gravity systems were.
Yeah,
up
I
in
mean,
New
again,
Hampshire, Boston
the ones
area,
I've
yeah.
worked on, the minute you put a circulator on it, you change its dynamics completely, and you're working against the original installation. Again, constant circulation. You got to move a lot of. It's weird. You got to move a lot of volume of water, right? Because those pipes are big, man.
Right.
Our little Delta T circulator is really not going to do much there. It's just may not be able to make that happen. Boy, I think that's a good question. Yeah, I think you got to use a big old low head pump like you take a 110, or B&G 100 and get that, just get that water moving gently and continuously.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to throw in, like a 0018 and keep it real low on fixed speed,
Mhm.
drop it down that way, or like the VR1816 or something like that to really keep
Yeah.
it low. Yeah.
And if you can get it in it, the VT, Anthony says the VT2218 constantly circulating. Yeah, and then you want to widen the delta T a little bit. Maybe go out to 30 instead of 20. That might do it. Again, there's just no real good answer here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why so many of them get ripped out and converted to baseboard.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a two pipe. They still use the radiators, but they now have a supply and return and radiator valves. That
Yeah.
can actually do it too. All right. Good. Here's another
There was a
couple
question
questions.
from a while ago. I don't want to forget it. Hang on a second.
All right.
It was somebody was asking about how do you rip apart a room? Oh yeah, so Stephen Garvey was asking I have a master bath and master bedroom on the same zone. How do you break up the two areas? Well, that's going to depend on the pipe. You're going to have to cut the pipe. If it's baseboard going from one to the other in series, it's surgery going on there. You're going to have to cut into the pipe and make it two separate zones. So one of the ways that I used to do that, if you had that as one zone by itself, and I did it plenty of times, was cut the pipe out, go get some of that leftover half-inch PEX from the last radiant job you did, and hook that up to each one of them and get a radiant manifold and hook it up that way. So now you put actuators on that manifold and go from two different zones, and now you have to run thermostat wires, but that's the only way you're going to really be able to break it, by not having the water flow from one room to the next.
Very good. Here's one from Chris Bilodeau. Assuming there's a chart for 1-inch baseboard where space doesn't let you run all 35 feet, but still required the BTUs. Yeah, I'd look at what you get for, the high capacity baseboard, that'll do that. There's all different kinds of interesting fin tube baseboards out there. What's that stuff? Is it Smith? Not Smith. That Emerson Swan sells in New England, that real high output baseboard.
It's Smith.
Is it Smith? Okay. And this thing, it has ridiculous outputs at low water temperatures. So you kind of look at different types of heat emitters in that case that can give you the output. Just standard high capacity might go to 700 or 800 BTUs per foot, whereas that stuff might go to a 900, 1,000 or more per foot. It depends on how you pipe it up. It's pretty wild stuff. But yeah, you'd look around for different types of baseboards under those circumstances. All right, what else we got in here? So we got 75 folks hanging out with us. That's a good thing.
Good.
Let's see. Gravity systems had smaller risers to second floor radiators because of greater rise. With the pump, you now have smaller risers on the longer runs. Hard to balance. Heck yes. It was meant to be gentle, continuous circulation, and anytime you mess with that, you've made it go against its nature. All right, what else we got here? Come on, man.
So Anthony's saying to actually go with more of a 10-degree delta rather than a 30-degree delta with the gravity systems out there.
Really? They get a little higher flow rate, so okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that. Anthony. Mr. Reichow was always smart in thinking here. I like that. I'm not sure about the original question, but wouldn't a high efficiency 11-to-1 turn down high delta T help with that? I think that I think they want a 30-degree delta T. Randall, I'm not.
Well, that's what we were originally thinking. Yes. Oh, the 11, a nice condensing boiler modulate the water temperature going out there too. Yes. I think with the two combined, the challenge would be those last couple of radiators on the room,
Right.
on the loop would be too cold. It wouldn't have enough BTUs to be able to supply. The water temperature would be too low. So that's where Anthony's saying increase or decrease the delta T. We could still go with a modulating outdoor reset boiler on it. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But if we squeeze it down a little bit.
And remember the 30-degree delta T is on the boiler loop at that point.
Would be
And
better.
the 10-degree delta T is on the heating side. It's on the delivery end. So that's not a little. Let's make sure we got that part clear. Very good. All right. Okay. Martin, this is your first Take-O After Dark. You are now an official. You're a real boy now, right? Just like when Pinocchio became a real boy. You're a real boy now, Martin. We're glad you joined us. And it's like a little cult. It's like when you go to Cheers and you just get those characters got sucked in and they just can't get out. All right. Or maybe we're like the Hotel California, Rick, right?
You can check in, but you can never leave. You can check out,
Yeah.
but you never leave.
You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave, Martin. There you go. Very good. Very good. All right. Cool.
And everyone knows your name.
That's right. Quick
At the hotel?
MASH question for the panel. Which two main weekly characters actually served during the Korean conflict? Ooh, that's a good question. Which one served during the Korean conflict? I don't know if was Alda in the service then. He might have been.
I'm going to leave that to you because you've got your brain filled with a whole bunch of useless information.
Oh, I know more crap than won't make me a dime to anybody I know. I think service during that time and maybe the guy that played Potter. What was his name? William Morgan. I think that, or yeah.
Jamie Farr.
Okay, we got Jamie Farr. Okay, it was Jamie Farr and Alan Alda. Okay, Klinger. Did he? Henry Morgan. There we go. Harry Morgan. What was it? Mike. Yeah, Harry Morgan. Yep. Was the other guy? But Jamie Farr and Alan. Okay, Jamie Farr. Sure. Yeah. From Toledo, Ohio. The Mud Hens. I'm surprised neither one of you guys came dressed as Klinger. That did surprise me a little bit.
I was going to say thank you for choosing Hawkeye for me. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking Klinger and Radar, but we need to go there.
Yeah, I did not bring a dress with me to the hotel here tonight, so that would have been weird walking down the hallways of the hotel dressed up. But then again, not so much.
It wouldn't have been the first for you, Dave. And I enjoyed the picture your wife posted on Facebook from your wedding. It was just your anniversary, right?
Yep, 21 years.
21 years. God bless you. Good for you and good for her.
As my daughter said, our marriage can now legally drink.
Yeah.
It's mature.
It's mature. There you go.
I'm not, but the marriage is. Yeah.
But there's one picture of you and all the bridesmaids, and you looked like a mafia don with your harem, or something like that. It was he's in a tux, and these beautiful women are kind of sitting around him, and he's just got this look on his face, says, "Oh yeah, this is the life. This is the life." So we may have to get that one and use it somewhere in the future.
Okay, you don't want it now.
Oh, can you get it? Oh, there it is. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's either your the bridesmaids or you had a hell of a weekend in Vegas one night.
I don't remember.
Very good.
Same haircut. Actually, it was a little longer there. It just was the same haircut on top. Yeah, a little longer on the backside there, Dan. Yes.
How low of a supply water temperature can you go with cast iron radiators? Rick answered that one. Yeah, pretty much as low as your boiler will let you. You know, pretty much as low as you can go. You'll get something out of it. Again, our chart. Let me go back to the presentation here if I can find it. Where is it? That chart.
I think when you start getting really low is when it just takes forever for changes to occur, especially in air temperature. So you got to be careful of that too, because there's always that one thing that homeowners have in their mind. How do they save energy? What does the government push down our throats for so many years? Lower the thermostat settings, do setback. Right? And then homeowners start doing a deep setback. So if you have a really low temperature going out and then you start doing deep setbacks and you're modulating that water temperature, it takes forever to come out of that setting again. So it is a conversation to have also at the same time on how low you want to do the water temperatures, but also don't set back 5, 8, 10 degrees, 2, 3 degrees.
All right. And there are controls on ModCon boilers now that will give you that little gas pedal, that accelerator. They'll actually boost the water temperature. You get there a little bit quickly.
Yeah, pay attention to that. Yeah, if you've got that setting in the boiler, definitely use it. Take a look at it. A lot of times they're disabled, and what happens is if the boiler is running for a certain time period, it may boost the water temperature up another 10 degrees. So now all of a sudden it's going to help with that deep setback. So watch for the boilers that do have that type of control in there.
And I pulled up that water temperature chart for cast iron radiators, and here you see, you know, when you start really getting into low water temperatures, like in this case 110 degree water temperature, if you take a look at that chart, you know, you're talking about now 30 BTUs per square foot of EDR. So again, 30, okay, if the radiator's big enough, I mean, if it's a big enough radiator and you can make that work, then fine, you can make that work. But again, there's an advantage there because the surface of the radiator is not going to be all that hot. It's going to be what it's going to be. You know, that's kind of what you're designing for. If that's your design temperature. If you have outdoor reset and you're going down to that low, well, then you're going down to that low. And the thing is, when the water temperatures are that low, it's warmer outside. You simply don't need as many BTUs per square foot of EDR. So I think, let me know if that answers the question, because that was another good one. All right, very good, very good. All right, any more questions out there, boys and girls?
There's Richard's got one about temperature differential. If there's delta between your supply water temperature and room, there will be transfer. Yeah.
That's just physics there.
Yeah.
There you go. And here's one from Martin. Hey guys, quick question. If you have zones that are not heating, is the most likely problem the zone pump or coagulated antifreeze, which I had come oozing through a Weil McLean PhD boiler and Taco circulators? Okay, antifreeze isn't supposed to ooze. It's not supposed to ooze. Okay, so there's number one. There's problem number one. Let's get rid of the ooze first, and then let's figure out what's going on. That's kind of what I would.
There, yeah. There's going to be some water chemistry, some cleaning. Yeah, you got to put some chemicals into the system, clean it out, flush it, do it again, and not just flush. You know, not just drain the water down and put new water back in again. So you're going to have to put something, some chemicals into the system, let it go for a couple hours, days, a week or so, come back, drain it, do it again. Even some of the companies out there that have the carts that you can bring into a house, that's going to help flush and clean the system. You might need to look into that before we start thinking about, you know, changing components, because one of the things to think about, how long has that system been there? Has it always worked, or is it a recent not working? Yeah, the oozing, that's another issue right now too.
Right.
Talk to the homeowners and see what's going on inside first. Second. Address that side first. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some chemistry issues. Martin, I would suggest going to Taco's YouTube channel. And we had a Taco After Dark over the summer during our summer session with Patrick S. from Mondale and Associates. one of our, he's a TACO rep from Minnesota, but he's also one of the most knowledgeable boiler treatment and water chemistry people I've ever met. And he delivered an amazing presentation for us that night on water treatment for boiler systems. And I remember he talked about a lot about antifreeze and how under certain conditions it can do, like you said, it can coagulate and ooze and kind of gum up the system. Go to our YouTube page. You can watch that one. It's a long one because when Patrick gets going, he's like Bluto. Forget it. He's rolling. When the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor. But wonderful information, and I think you can certainly talk about. That's you'll find some information there. I think you can glom onto, and then get some help from a water treatment rep in your territory, because you got to get that fixed first before we figure anything else out. But I would guess that's probably 95% of your problem. And what else do we have here? I'm thinking that I would have to separate each zone and use some air pressure to verify that the zone is cleared. It was built in 1989. They actually burned a boiler to the ground, and then I replaced it with a McLean. Wow. How do you burn a boiler to the ground? And the house stays standing? That would be kind of interesting. That is wild, man. That is very wild. But yeah, check the YouTube channel. It should be posted up there. And if you can't find it, just shoot me an email and I'll see what I can do to help you out. But yeah, it should be on our YouTube channel. And again, it's about an hour and a half, maybe a little longer, but it's a fascinating listen. And he talks about antifreeze towards the end of it. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Very good. Very good. All right. Any more questions out there, folks? We're down to 58 of you, but I love this. Here, what are we, an hour and a half into this? We're an hour and a half into this. And we still got over 50 of you just hanging in, listening to us yak, and asking questions and sharing time. And I appreciate that.
I got a boiler story on fire, right?
Ooh.
One of these things that you wouldn't really think it would ever happen. So I get a call to go out to a job, told me the boiler had caught fire and they had shut everything down and what was happening. And so I had to go out there and take a look at it, and sure enough, it was all burned up the sides. It almost looked like it was rolling out. So you look at the normal things for rollout, what would have caused it, plug flues, things like that. Well, lo and behold, it wasn't any of that stuff you'd normally think. The actual contractor had went to purchase pre-mixed glycol and got 100% glycol and filled the boiler with 100% glycol and tried to heat it up and tried to pump it and walked away from it. And basically it just, 100% glycol does not absorb very much energy. And of course, all that energy from the flame in the bottom of a cast iron boiler, she split. And when she split, she had pressure behind it, and it was atomizing that glycol under really, really hot temperatures. And of course, when that atomized glycol is blown out onto a flame, it lights on fire. And that's why it was rolling out. It didn't have anything to do with a plug flue or anything like that. But that's one of those Alaska stories again. So anyway, be careful. Look at your glycol. Look at what you're putting in the system.
Yep. Yikes. Oh, all right. Well, thank you, Martin. Thank you for the kind words. We have a great show, and the audience proves it by staying. Well, yeah, we appreciate that. Again, this thing started, and a lot of you guys, when we started in March, we didn't really know what was going to happen, but the sizes of the audiences, the people, you guys that decided to attend, just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we got a couple of nights where we were at over 300 people, and I think a lot of it then was people were just, that was quarantine time, and this is the only way you had to actually interact with other people that were kind of like-minded, and that was kind of cool. And we did it again during the summer. The groups were smaller, but we still had great attendance, and it was a lot of fun. And I've been very gratified by the sizes of our groups so far for the fall. And I appreciate you folks really giving up some time of your evening to spend with us. We do appreciate we appreciate that you've invited us into your home. I guess that might be the best way to put it, and spend some time together. I know if Johnny White were here, that's one thing he would say. It's how important it is to to spend time together, because that's the currency we all live with is time, and we all have a limited amount, and how we spend it's important. And the fact that we were able to spend this little bit of time together is it's terrific. It's great for the three of us, I know, and I hope it's a worthwhile investment for you guys as well.
I can hear Carol Burnett in the background.
I'm so glad we had this time together.
And usually the three of us are not together for a training class either. So I think that's also what makes it pretty cool too.
Yeah, I do.
You know?
I do get a kick out of having the three of us here. That really is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What do we got here for Howard? From Howard Leggett, new to TACO training, handouts or videos that address flushing, conditioning, and retrofitting older systems. Lots of older systems here in Chicago. Again, we have just different types of videos on our YouTube channel and on our website on a variety of different topics. Flushing and conditioning systems, that's going to be, you'll find more from the water treatment companies, which we don't do, but you'll find a lot of information on from them depending upon the company that you choose. So look on, talk to your local wholesaler, talk to your rep about what kind of instructions they might have for, if they represent a water treatment line. That would probably be the best, most direct solution there for you, Howard.
Take advantage of the local representatives in the area, not just the TACO guys, because they're awesome, of course. But also, any of the reps, they're there to help us. These guys that have the knowledge base, and they want to be around the corner from you. They want to be, some of these guys want to be mentors and help out a lot of people that are just coming into the industry, which is good. So look for that. I am having a problem trying to find the summer series on our YouTube page. I don't see it just yet, so I'm not sure if they got uploaded or not. So we may have to get to our go to stage link out again, and I'll dig that out. I'll have that ready for next week for some of those also. For those of you that are still here tonight, tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, you're going to get an email from us. It's going to give you the link to this week that we did here. And for those of you that obviously are not here today, you'll also get the recording. So there is a link to the recording that we have in a separate area, not on the YouTube page. So we got to go find that. Oh, I know where else to find it. Gee, don't take a look at the TACO YouTube page because we didn't get ours updated yet. What you want to do is go check out the Mechanical Hub YouTube page. They're the ones that are probably updated their website.
They might have it up there, yeah. And I think we also our website has them as well, if I'm not mistaken.
The website only had 5 from the spring series.
Oh, okay, all right. We just updated that website, so maybe they're not all up there. So.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Cool. All righty, folks. Well, I think the old clock on the wall says it's time to go. So we do appreciate the gift of your time. Had a ball this evening. Speaking on behalf of Hawkeye and Trapper, we really did enjoy our week together. And any final words from you gents for our folks out there?
Well, it's Kramer right now, so.
Thank you, Vandelay. There you go. Rick, how about you?
Cheers.
A man of few words.
Yes.
Hey,
so I
you are spoken to. I spoke.
I figured I'd share with you guys, since I was cutting through Rhode Island today. I was up in Massachusetts. I'm in Connecticut now, and I found around the corner from the hotel. So anybody that comes to, TACO opens back up again, and you want to come down to TACO, come to a training class, come see what we're all about, even just to come see stuff being made, let me know. So I swung by a place. I just found it the last trip I took up there in the fall. There's a microbrewery basically behind the hotel. You got to cut through the woods a little bit and get there, and it's called Proclamation Brewery. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. There's this Proclamation Ale Company, and we'll take a walk over there one day after the training class. So this is going back. First time in Rhode Island since January.
Oh wow! Yeah, I don't think I've been down since then either. Yeah.
So I saw the beers in the place today, so I had to pick up some Proclamation, which is a nice ale, a nice double IPA they got tonight.
Very good.
So
All
anybody
right.
comes up, you coming to hang out with me, I'm going to get you some proclamation beers.
You come hang out with me, you get Poland Spring sparkling water. But not the plain stuff. I go for the lime. All right.
That's right.
I live large.
And if you're hanging out west with Rickster, you got
In Utah,
Mayo
what do you
beers.
got? Iced tea? I don't know. What do they do out there in Utah?
Well, all the states around us are legal weed states, so we don't have a short drive.
And judging from your shirt, you've taken that trip a few times.
Just never know, man.
You never know.
Never know. Of course, I don't expect somebody sending me a test form either. So anyway, good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks a lot. Have a great
Later.
week. We will see you next Wednesday night.
All right.
Same
bye.
bat time, same bat
Bad
channel.
time.
There you go.
Enjoy, y'all.